up? It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud.
We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies.
We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language.
We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. So let's light things up.
From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine.
We're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage.
Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove.
We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get it till what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get it, hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Light things up. Let's talk. Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud.
We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies.
We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language.
We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. So let's light things up.
From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine.
We're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage.
Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove.
We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get it till what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get in here what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. Let's talk. Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud.
We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere.
Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies.
We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language.
We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm.
Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. So let's light things up.
From the suburb to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine.
We're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage.
Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove.
We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get it till what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get in here what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. Let's talk. Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
Listen up, Biggie in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The vibe is buzzing, the truth is loud, but Biggie talking calm, keeping it proud.
We got stories of struggle, from hardship to hope, from the block to the globe.
Yo, Biggie, break it down, break it clear. No filter, no lie, just sincere.
Follow Biggie, Biggie, Biggie here like a let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up.
We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. Biggie talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies.
We break the chains of ignorance, the truth with our own language.
We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm.
Follow Biggie, 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 hit like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything and hear what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. So let's light things up. So let's light things up.
From the suburb to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine.
We're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage.
Biggie on mic with heat to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove.
We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Follow Biggie, 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 hit it like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we walk. Drop everything, get it till what's up. It's Biggie time, so let's light things up. Biggie, 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 hit it like and let's talk. We're not about drama, just about the life we
Yo, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop that knife, drop that fork. It's time to light the torch. Listen up, we're in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The city's buzzing, the streets are loud, but we're talking calm, keep it proud. We got stories of struggle, stories of hope, from the block to the globe. We'll break it down, we'll break it clear. No fear, just sincere. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. We talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine. We're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. We bring the headlines to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love. We talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Woo! Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Yo, Biggie, Biggie, Biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop that knife, drop that fork. It's time to light the torch. Listen up, we're in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The city's buzzing, the streets are loud, but we're talking calm, keep it proud. We got stories of struggle, stories of hope, from the block to the globe. We'll break it down, we'll break it clear. No fear, just sincere. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. We talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. From the suburbs to the sky. skyline. From the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. We bring the headlines to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Woo! Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Yo, biggie, biggie, biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop that knife, drop that fork. It's time to light the torch. Listen up, we're in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The city's buzzing, the streets are loud, but we're talking calm, keep it proud. We got stories of struggle, stories of hope, from the block to the globe. We'll break it down, we'll break it clear. No fear, just sincere. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. We talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning the page, turning the page. We'll break the walls, we'll break the cage. We bring the headlines to your ear. What's happening in the world, no fear. We talk about peace, we talk about love, we talk about hope like a dove. We keep the rhythm, keep the rhyme. We'll light the way through the night. Woo! Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Yo, biggie, biggie, biggie on the mic. We're talking truth, no hype. Drop that knife, drop that fork. It's time to light the torch. Listen up, we're in the studio, where the real talk flows, yo. The city's buzzing, the streets are loud, but we're talking calm, keep it proud. We got stories of struggle, stories of hope, from the block to the globe. We'll break it down, we'll break it clear. No fear, just sincere. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. We talk about money, we talk about pain. The pain of the youth, the loss of the main. We talk about love, about family ties. All the good and all the lies. We break the chains of ignorance, show the truth with our own language. We're building a bridge over the storm. Keep it steady, keep it warm. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. Biggie, 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 we're here to talk. We're not about drama, just a solid walk. Put down your knife, put down your fork. Let's talk about life, the truth, the word. From the suburbs to the skyline, from the sunrise to the shine, we're turning. Drop that knife, drop that fork.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Biggie Let's Talk, episode 46. Welcome to everybody. I hope everyone's good, hope everyone's well. Stop the bell, smash that subscribe button, hit that like button. Tension Nigani, support your brother. Hope everyone's good, hope everyone's well. And today I'm with a very special guest. Super excited to have him on. Dr. Ranj Sagoo, transformational coach and well-being coach, and does a bit of hypnotherapy as well. ਉਹ ਵੀ ਪੁੱਛਣਾ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਕਿ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰਦੀ ਦਾ ਕਿੱਦਾਂ ਕਰੀਦਾ So that's how obviously we got set clear. Right, let's bring him in. Dr. Ranj, good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening.
Hold on, wait, let me get this thing out of the way so people can actually see you.
That's all right. You can keep me
There
covered.
you go. How are you? You good?
I'm good. Yes, thank you for having me on.
No problem at all. Thank you for being here. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, not bad. Thank you.
I've got a different setup today. My stand broke, so थोड़ा सा adjustment करना पड़ा सी.
Yeah, sure.
So I'm using a little holder. How are you anyway? You good?
I'm good. Yeah, yourself?
Okay, just a bit of background on you. Whereabouts in the UK are you from? North, south, east, and west?
Middle. I'm from Birmingham.
Oh, Birmingham. Okay. You ain't got Birmingham accent though. Have you been there long?
Yeah, I've lived here all my life.
You ain't got a Bromley accent at all.
No, it comes and goes. So you might pick it up at certain words. You might hear the twang.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, and siblings?
Yes, yeah. I've got an older sister and a younger brother.
Are they doctors at all?
No, one's a teacher and one's a designer.
Okay, and upbringing all in Birmingham.
Yep, born and bred.
Excellent. And so upbringing, siblings, our main inspirations when you're growing up.
Oh,
It could be a doctor, it could be anyone.
yeah. I mean, I think there's quite a few. Obviously, mum and dad. Obviously, first of all.
Of course, yeah.
I wouldn't be in my position now if it wasn't for mum and dad and what they've done for us. So they've been massive inspirations. And yeah, I mean, throughout my career, several kind of doctors, especially my GP trainer, who kind of really showed me the way in terms of what being a GP, a family doctor, really is like. His name was Colin Flenley, brilliant GP.
Big up, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
Really showed me what being not just a GP, but a family physician really.
Okay, has anybody else been a doctor in your family?
Yes, I've got a lot of cousins. Yes, I've got cousins who are doctors in the family.
Where did you do your doctor studying?
So I went to Leicester University.
Okay.
Yeah.
Proper Desi uni, isn't it?
Yeah, Leicester was good.
Excellent. Okay, so tell us what a transformational coach is.
Yeah.
And a well-being coach.
Cool. Yeah. So I mean, I'll kind of explain it like through my journey. I mentioned a bit about learning what being a proper family physician meant. So for me, as in medicine was always something I felt like I wanted to do. Again, encouraged by my parents, as typical Indian Punjabi people would be. But I always had it in me, and I wanted to help people. So becoming a doctor was kind of part of that journey. But when I became a doctor, first of all, I thought I wanted to be an orthopedic doctor. So I started working as an orthopedic trainee, doing orthopedic surgery in hospitals. But for me, there was still something missing. And for me, it was that connection with people, building relationships, and kind of really what I wasn't getting was that true feeling of helping people heal. Yes, there was the physical element of healing. Someone comes in, has a broken ankle, needs a hip replacement. You help them physically heal, but you're missing those other elements. So holistic healing was really important to me.
Definitely.
So general practice was kind of where I saw that happening, and general practice is great because again there is that element where, you get to build relationships with people. You see them from the time they're born all the way through their lives to the end stages of life. So you really do build that kind of relationship with people. But again, I still felt like there was something missing. And a lot of it is because again, the NHS is brilliant, but we've all had experiences of what going to
Most definitely.
what you're going to see what your doctor's like. One of the biggest things is you just don't have enough time with people to really understand what they're going through, really helping them to heal holistically. So not just treating the physical problem, but actually really understanding where their pains are coming from, really understanding, what is going on in their lives that's causing a lot of their problems. And that's where, I felt this kind of transition, or not transition, because I'm still a GP, but sort of this kind of evolution into coaching would be, and I find that really fascinating, because with
So
clients,
how long have you been a coach now?
about 2 years.
Okay, so you're still pretty new to it.
Yeah, still pretty new, still, still learning, still kind of adding things, and that's where, the more I do, the more I kind of want to add into it. So, the hypnotherapy came along into it, because it was all about how can we help people heal, and how can we help people heal from the root cause of their problems, not just, oh, here's a pill, or
In the paracetamol.
absolutely. How can we find out, well, what's actually going on with them, and how people heal from the inside.
Okay, so what does mental well-being truly mean in today's society, in the world today?
Yeah, I mean, it's a great question. Mental wellness is about having that kind of mental and emotional kind of resilience and adaptability. So it's being able to respond to what's going on around you in the world, in the external environment, in a healthy way. So we're not reacting to stuff, we're able to respond appropriately, whilst kind of maintaining that kind of inner calm and that inner groundedness. It's sometimes it's a difficult concept. We talk about mental well-being, but because we can't physically see it like physical health, it's sometimes difficult to kind of grasp. But it's the same as like physical health. What kind of attributes do we put to physical well-being? We've put things like, being strong, being stable, being adaptable, being flexible, and being resilient. And these are all things that we want for our mental wellness as well. We want the mind to be strong, don't we? We want to be able to respond to challenges mentally, without reacting, without getting overwhelmed, without getting kind of overloaded.
Okay, why do so many people actually struggle with or suffer with burnout, even though there's so many resources? You go to any town, there's like 3-4 gymnasiums there now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's a few different things. I mean, one is the world that we live in. The world is, it's kind of overwhelming, isn't it? The world that we live in. It's
Definitely.
so fast paced. It's so overwhelming, that it's difficult to kind of learn to adapt to all of these things sometimes. We talk about resources, but it's you've got to think about the amount of resources, the quality of resources, and the different types of resources now to what we had previously. So what I often think about is, do you remember back in the day when we only had 5 TV channels?
Yeah.
And now how many channels do we have? We have hundreds of
Hundreds.
TV channels. So what happens, back in the day, there was 5 TV channels, and you could only watch what was on at that point in time. You didn't have any other choices. Now there's so many choices. It's overwhelming again. It kind of overloads us, because you can sit there for ages trying to flick through TV channels, and
You still don't know what to watch.
you still don't know what to watch, and then you give up. And this is what I mean in terms of having too many resources can sometimes be overwhelming, and we can't we can't adjust to that. And it's also the quality as well, because there's so many different resources out there that it's hard to know what's reliable, what's a reputable source of information. If you take, for example, what's the best diet to be on? Is it a keto diet? Is it a vegan diet? Is it a Mediterranean diet? Do you know what I mean? And you get so many different people giving you so much information. Again, it's information overload, and people don't know what to kind of listen to. And then the other thing is, it's sort of talking about resources, the types of, so there's this big shift, isn't there? All of our resources now are kind of online, on the internet, social media, but we've lost touch with kind of those natural resources that we used to have, like that family network, the the support networks that we had, the connection with people that we could rely on to go to for information. So basically what I'm trying to say is that sort of having too many resources isn't always a good thing, and sometimes that has that negative impact
Definitely.
on
But the
these.
Punjabi community in Birmingham must love seeing a Punjabi person or Sardar
Yeah,
at GP. Because I know for a fact, if as soon as even my own father, he's a Sardar as well, and
yeah,
when he's gonna make a doctor's appointment, he wants to know who the doctor's gonna be there first,
yeah, sure. Yeah, we
because
do
he's
get.
already built up a rapport with him.
Yeah, I'm slightly kind of out. I'm in my practice is in a sort of a kind of a slightly rural community area.
Okay,
So it's mostly sort of Caucasian elderly people.
yeah,
But we do have a few Punjabi families, and they always like to come and see me.
I can imagine. Okay, so what's the common sign someone is struggling in silence with
Yeah,
mental health?
yeah. I mean, it's everybody's different, but there are commonalities. I think the big thing is though it's for all of us. It's being able to just have that awareness, like not just of ourselves, but of other people. So when we're around other people, it's just start to kind of notice things when things change, and it's usually things like a slight change in personality,
In the behavior or something?
behavior, yeah, where they're not their usual self. Some people tend to go quieter than normal. um, some people might do the opposite, and they're kind of they're louder than normal. And that might be because they're trying to sort of overcompensate, so they don't let on that there's something wrong with them. um, and then some people will kind of retreat, and they're not as social as
Right.
they used to be. So there's lots of different things, and even kind of day to day, you might notice that someone that was usually quite calm, they get irritable a bit more, they seem a bit distant. um, they just don't seem present, like you're having a conversation with them, but they're not quite there.
And they're away with the fairies.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So you must see that that must be a skill you've had to pick up along the way, because obviously there's patients that you see every day,
Mm.
and then suddenly someone comes down and they're a bit on a downer, or they're a bit hyped up. So is that down to you to like spot that first?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, a lot of it does come with experience. So we see this data, and this is what I also mean about the connection with people. When you've built relationships with people, so you built a relationship with a patient for the past 5 years, and they come in today, and they're not the same patient you've seen over the last few years, and you
Yeah.
start to pick up on those cues. You seem a bit quieter, or you're not making eye contact the same as you used to. Do you know what I mean? So that's when you start to pick up on these things.
Okay. How does your upbringing or cultural background shape the way you're dealing with mental health?
Again, it's something that's very complex, and you can probably kind of understand that.
Because I know family members that have gone back to India
Yeah,
because they've had mental health issues because the son's not well, or is bit so not well, and they say let's take him back home and slap him up a little bit, and he'll be all right, or give him an electric shock, and he'll be fine. But
sure.
obviously, it's not like that.
I
It's a
know.
bit more than that. That's where our people
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
understand
sure.
what mental health is.
No, no. I mean, there's so many different layers to it. I mean, you can separate upbringing and culture into two separate things, but again, they are connected as well. I mean, if you look at just upbringing in itself, childhood is one of the most important times in terms of our development, in terms of our understanding of the world, our understanding of ourselves, all of our belief systems. They form in those early years. It's when our nervous system is developing. So the things that we are brought up around at that time, that's what that's what informs us, who we are, and kind of what we do and how we respond to everything. There's a really good book that I read. It's called "What Happened to You." It's by a doctor called Dr. Bruce Perry. It was actually co-written between him and Oprah Winfrey, and it's kind of like a conversation. It's a dialogue
Right.
between the two of them, and it talks about um, trauma and, um, and healing. And there's a really good part in that book where he explains that the first 2 years of our life, when we're born, those first 2 years are like so super important, because what happens in those first 2 years, it gets written into your nervous system, and that becomes your belief system. So And the example given in the book is if you were in those first 2 years, if you grew up in a really difficult, stressful environment, say there was lots of domestic violence and all sorts of things like that going on.
Okay.
And then even if you were taken out of that environment and you got put in a, say a foster home and really well looked after, really loved and everything, right? Your kind of long-term outcome in terms of your mental health is still significantly worse than somebody who had a really, really good first 2 years of upbringing, really loved, really cared for,
Just because of those first 2 years?
because of those first 2 years. Because
Really?
what happens at that time, that's what gets embedded into your nervous system. It's what gets wired into your mind, and then that's what forms all your belief systems.
Thing with trauma and the healing is such a big thing, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. How does self-awareness play a part in emotionally healing?
Yeah. Self-awareness for me, in terms of kind of the work I do, and just in terms of how I kind of think about healing, self-awareness is the starting point. It's the number one thing, because if we're not aware of what's happening in us, then how can we change?
Yeah, true.
So we need to start developing that self-awareness. We need to start listening to the signals, the signs that the body and the mind are trying to tell us, because the body and mind are always trying to tell us different things, and if we don't listen to it, then we're not going to be aware of what's going on, and then we can't develop those systems to change. Because it's all about kind of control. If we can't see what's going on, we're always going to act on autopilot. For example,
Definitely.
something stressful happens, and we see it all the time. Something stressful happens, you just act on autopilot, whether you get scared or whether you run away or whatever. If you start to become aware of the things that stress you, or the triggers and things like that, then you can almost take a step back and kind of realize, oh, actually, I know that these situations stress me out or put me on edge and things. And then you can also be aware of, well, when that happens, this is how I feel. I get really nervous, I get really anxious, I can't talk to people. But then you can kind of step back from that and say, okay, if I know that this situation stresses me out, then what can I do to change that? How can I kind of alleviate that? What can I,
Fair enough.
So yeah.
Okay, you work with a lot of stressed and burnt out professionals. What's a common pattern you see all the time?
I mean, there's many. There's so many different kind of patterns, but there are common themes that run through, and these are themes that I've seen as well. It's why it's kind of one of the reasons, again, going on this journey, was because the themes that you see in other people, you start seeing yourself, and it's things like people pleasing, that feeling of always just not being good enough, that feeling of you always need to prove yourself, feeling like the imposter. When you go into a room and you think everyone else is somebody important and you just don't belong there, when you can try and convince yourself that I've got diplomas, I've got degrees and all of this stuff, but you still feel like everybody's looking at you like you shouldn't be there. You can carry on. Someone who just keeps trying to overachieve, but again, they never feel good enough. So all of these patterns are very, very common.
And is that down to you to pick up, or a skill that you picked up along the way?
It's again, as the coach or the therapist, yes. I mean, these are the things that you're in tune to kind of pick up, and it's helping people see them. It's helping people, again, it's that self-awareness. It's helping them look inside themselves and seeing those patterns, because that's why they get burnt out. They keep repeating these same patterns without knowing that that's what they're doing.
Okay, how can somebody identify burnout before it gets serious?
Yeah, I mean, it's common. It's like what we just said. The theme is the same. It's coming back to awareness. So I always say it's being able to just take some time out to check in with yourself. Just taking a little bit of time each day or each week just to check in with yourself and start to notice You know, what's changed for you, what's different. You know, because like I said earlier, you know, your body and your mind, it tries to tell you that there's things going on. So if you notice that you're kind of tense, or you know your sleep's disrupted, or you're not paying attention, you know, that you're not present, your mind's wandering off somewhere else. It's becoming aware of, well, what's underlying those, what's causing that to happen. So you know that really helps in identifying, you know, patterns that lead to burnout. And it's also things like, you know, common things that people come to the GP practice with when they're kind of tired all the time. It's a very
Yeah.
symptom, but people often come with the feeling that that there's something physically wrong with them, that you know they're low in vitamins or something like that. But actually, it's helping people to understand that, you know, the symptoms, they're not always physical. You know, we have to look a bit deeper than that and start to
Mhm.
ask the question of, well, what's actually happening with you? What's going on in your life that's changed, or that might be adding, you know, an additional stress. That, you know, because patients will often come and say, you know, I'm trying to sleep more, I've changed my diet, you know, I'm doing more exercise, but I'm still feeling exhausted. I wake up and I'm still exhausted. Um, you know, those are signs that, you know, you could be coming into burnout, and you really
Okay.
need to start looking at what's going on.
What's three things someone can do immediately today
Yeah.
to make a difference?
Like I said, for the first one for me is always just checking in with yourself. Just taking a few minutes a day, or you know, like I said, a few minutes a week, just to check in with yourself. And that's all about kind of becoming present and listening to the body, because the body stores all of our emotions. It's
Yeah.
called somatic memory. So the body stores all your emotions. So again, it's noticing that tension or pain, headaches, you know, all of these different things. When we start to notice them,
Hmm.
then we can start to think back and say, well, you know, where's this coming from? What's happening? That's kind of, that potentially is causing this to
Sure.
happen. So that's one thing. Um, Another thing is just kind of very gentle things like breathing exercises. Breathing kind of calms the nervous system down. You know, there's different breathing exercises that people can do. You know, things like box breathing and that, and it's all about kind of bringing the nervous system back from kind of a stress state to this kind of calm, relaxed, kind of resting state. So that's a really good one. And finally, it's, you know, things like taking a walk. You know, taking 5 or 10 minutes to go for a walk. But the key to doing that is actually, again, being present in the moment. Is actually, how many times have you been for a walk somewhere, or you know, or doing something when your mind just wanders off?
Oh,
So,
definitely all the time.
do you know what I mean? So it's actually being present in the moment. So if you're going for a walk, actually being present whilst you're walking. So noticing the things outside, like, you know, the coolness of the breeze, you know, the wind rustling through the trees, you know, noticing the flowers, all of it. So you're just present in that moment, and you can switch off from everything else. That's a really, really powerful one.
Fair enough. Excellent. Okay, is burnout more emotional or physical or both?
It's definitely both. It's definitely both. The mind and body aren't separate. You know, they are one. They work as one. And burnout it's neurological and physiological overload, which basically means it's the brain and the body being overloaded. And like I said, they work together. When we get to that point where emotionally and mentally we are kind of, you know, at stressed, the body
Yeah.
you know, the body gets stressed as well, because, you know, if our stress levels are too high, we're constantly on high alert, your sleep gets disrupted, your immune system weakens. So they're both working together.
Excellent. Okay, and how does life coaching differ from therapy when it comes to mental well-being?
Yeah, I mean, there are some similarities, but the main thing is coaching is very future focused. So it's about kind of helping people, create kind of clarity. Helps people to create kind of their goals and their outcomes and rebuild their confidence. So it's looking forwards. It's very what we call solution focused. So it's helping people. It kind of works on the premise that
Yeah.
if I'm coaching you, I already believe that you have the answers. You just haven't found them yet.
But
So
do you find a lot of Asian people, going back to our own culture, they don't want to be coached because they're
yes,
so stubborn and fixed in their ways?
yeah, I have seen that pattern. It's again, I always think it's down to the coach to then find the right way of helping that person. So because it's always kind of believing that there is a way to help everybody. It's just I haven't asked the right questions yet. As
Okay.
so some people can be challenging, but it's there is a way to help everybody. Whereas therapy is again, therapy is very sort of past focused. So it's about looking at the past and healing something that might have happened, healing a trauma
Mhm.
to help people move forward. So there are two sides of it. So and again, but in kind of in the work that I do use both. So I do use coaching to help people kind of
Yeah.
look forwards and build this new version of themselves. But if there is things that need healing from the past in order to help people move forwards, we will do that as well.
Okay. What mindset shifts have the biggest impact on improving someone's daily life?
I mean, there's loads, but it's trying to keep things really simple. So, and again, it depends on the person and what they're kind of going through. But sometimes it's simple things like just kind of coming to the understanding that resting is productive. You know, we're often in this mindset where I have to be doing something to be productive,
Yeah.
but actually by doing that, you often burn yourself out because a lot of the time you're doing stuff that one um, isn't it doesn't kind of align with you, it doesn't fit with your values, and you're just doing something, and that in itself is exhausting. And if you're just doing things all the time, then and you're not resting, you're not allowing your your body and mind to recover. So that's sometimes a really simple one. And things like boundaries as well is being able to say no without feeling guilty for it. We're
Sure.
often brought up, especially in kind of in Indian culture, is always trying to be helpful, always trying to
Helpful, not say no.
not say no to people, but actually having healthy boundaries is important for us. One of the things I always say is that in order to give your best to somebody else, you have to be at your best yourself.
Definitely.
And if you're giving too much of yourself, then and you're burnt out, then you can't be the best for other people.
Okay, you do hypnotherapy. A
Mhm.
lot of people don't understand it.
Yeah,
How does it actually help with stress
sure. Okay.
and anxiety?
How does it help with stress? Yeah, no, I mean, it's the first question I get. Are you going to hold up a little,
Yeah, I was going to say, do you do
a
that?
little? No, it's not that. I mean, people always associate it with like stage hypnotherapy, but what hypnotherapy actually does is, and comes back to what we were talking about earlier. When we were talking about our patterns and our beliefs get wired into our
Yeah.
nervous system. That's called subconscious wiring. So we have obviously the conscious brain and then the subconscious brain. So the
Hmm.
conscious brain is our thinking brain. It's how we think and make decisions and all of that. And then there's the subconscious brain where all of our kind of automatic behaviors, our our thoughts, our and things kind of and our beliefs kind of get embedded, right? And this is where the stresses and things come from. So whenever something happens, you don't think about it before you get stressed, do you? You just
You just do it, yeah.
and then you realize, oh, I'm stressed, right? And that's because it's the subconscious patterns that play first, right? So that's what hypnotherapy does. Hypnotherapy, when you put someone into trance, you're helping them to kind of get into a calm, relaxed state where you can switch off the conscious mind, the thinking mind. You can kind of, you know, allow that just to kind of disappear for a second, and you're then talking directly to the subconscious mind. And when you're talking to the subconscious mind, you can talk to the subconscious mind and tell the subconscious that these particular patterns, say for example, it's you know, a fear of you know, getting up on stage and talking to people, and things like that, the stress patterns that cause those. You can say to the subconscious mind that stress isn't helping you anymore. It's actually holding you back, or it's actually you know, it's not being it's not helping you be the best person that you can be. And then it's asking that subconscious mind, because we work on the principle that the subconscious mind has infinite ways of creating new processes, new thought processes, new patterns. And basically what you're asking to do is to rewire it to, you know, it's that principle of neuroplasticity, where the brain can kind of form new connections and new circuits. So that's all you're doing on that. And
have you ever been hypnotized?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, this is why I believe in it so much, because so my own story was that I used to have an absolutely crazy sweet tooth. Yeah, so I used to love sweets, biscuits, ice cream, you know, anything that was sweet. I wouldn't be able to put it down. You know, if you put a plate of biscuits in front of me, I'd eat them all. But then I had one hypnotherapy session, and like literally the next day, that whole kind of craving for sweet food completely disappeared.
That's because somebody got in, the hypnotherapist got into your subconscious and just cleared it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So basically, what in that sense, what it does is it's not the, again, it's kind of like a food addiction, isn't it? So it's not the addiction that's the problem. It's not the food that's the problem. It's what that was trying to soothe. So within me, there must have been something that I always associated with sweet food as a comfort, something that I needed to soothe. But you know, so what the hypnotherapy does is just kind of dissociates that need to soothe something, because there's nothing to soothe now, is there? There may have been back in the past where the association began, but not anymore.
Okay, can hypnotherapy heal deep-rooted problems?
Yeah, absolutely. And again, it comes back to that. It's because, you know, the subconscious is where those patterns lie. You know, so people who have been through you know, traumas in their past, where you know, it's kind of, you know, it's kind of deep rooted in them. You know, it can change that, because it's about dissociating the that emotion from whatever kind of things are happening now, because the brain doesn't tell the difference between, you know, you going through a you know, a car accident to you know, to your mobile phone ringing. You know, for some people jump when their mobile phone rings, but it's, you know, your brain doesn't tell the difference between that. But it's because the brain has associated anything that startles you to with the trauma that happened when you had this car accident.
Okay, apart from your own story of like biscuits or sweet tooth,
Yeah.
what's one transformation you've seen hypnotherapy do without revealing any names?
Yeah. There's a brilliant one. So there's a patient. He was in his 60s, and he basically he was having a 5-year history of like really severe abdominal pain, to the point where, you know, he was almost restricted to staying at home most days because of his pain. And he'd been to see everyone. So he'd seen surgeons, he'd seen, you know, gastroenterologists, he'd seen many doctors. We tried different medications and that. And he came to me one day with his wife, and he sat down. He goes, "I've had enough of this." He goes, I just don't know what to do anymore." And so I thought, there's got to be something more to this, because if we can't find a physical reason for the pain, there's got to be something else going on. So again,
More deep-rooted.
yeah, absolutely. So I looked at the story. So I said, let's just go back. Let's tell me what happened when this pain began. And and with him, what happened was his pain began quite suddenly. He was a builder. He was working on a roof one day, and for whatever reason, he developed at that time severe abdominal pain while he was on the roof, and it was like he felt like he was, just stuck on a roof with this severe pain. And at that time, he was rushed to the hospital, didn't find anything. But since that moment, he had this pain. And so what that told me was that, there's that pain now was because it had been going on for so long. That pain now had become a deep-rooted pattern within it. It wasn't a physical pain; it was some kind of emotional pain. It was
Emotional, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was deep rooted within him. So again, we did some hypnotherapy sessions. We did about 3 sessions, and you can have a look. There's a video on my website where he's done a little interview for me. He says on there, he goes, he's gone from somebody who's had 8, 9, 10 out of 10 level of pain every day to it being completely almost non-existent anymore.
Really? That's amazing.
Yeah.
So does that come across your mind? So like when you get the typical Punjabi person that comes and says, "My godda's hurting, my back's hurting."
Yeah.
Do you think I've tried everything else? Shall I hypnotize him?
I mean, you can't treat everything with
I know
hypnotherapy.
you can't do it with everyone, yeah.
I mean, with chronic pains and things, there's always both elements. There's physical pain and there is some psychological pain as well. It's
Yeah.
only the psychological bit that you can heal. Obviously, the physical pain you can't. Hypnotherapy won't do
Okay.
it. So it's using it in the right way.
Okay. What daily habits do you personally use to stay healthy and strong-minded mentally?
So for me, it's that early morning is really important for me. So having that first thing in the morning is doing my part.
Yeah.
It's very meditative for me. It's kind of it helps me become present. It's very grounding, and it just gives you that stillness in the morning. I think is
100%.
really important. Gratitude as well. Just taking a moment to reflect on the good things in your life. And that's really empowering. Again, doing that first thing in the morning just sets your day off really nicely, where you can just say I'm really grateful for another day with my family, and things like that. And also things like just protecting your family time. Just again, it's about being kind of present with them, the people you love. I think that's really important.
Excellent. But I've lost myself now. Okay. What's one small routine that you could give advice you can give to everybody to change if they could?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've mentioned it a few times. It's kind of creating presence, and being present. So however you want to do it. So whether that's like meditation or breathing, just something to kind of switch you off from the noise. The noise in your head. The thinking about the past or worrying about the future. Just something that kind of brings you into the moment for a few minutes or whatever. And again, that's really calming for the nervous system. Like I said, so it could be meditation, it could be breath work, it could be doing an activity like drawing, painting, listening to music, something that brings you into the here and now rather than your mind just kind of wandering off somewhere else.
Okay. How important is sleep when it comes to emotional and mental healing?
Yeah, I mean, sleep is super important. And we can do all the different therapies, but if we don't get enough sleep, then our nervous system doesn't have time to recover.
Is it still 8 hours they recommend?
Yeah, I mean, anything 7 to 9 hours is the recommend. So yeah, 8 hours is recommended. And it's because of the stress hormones and what happens in sleep. So when we sleep, our stress hormones come down, and your body has time to do its housekeeping. Cleaning itself up, getting rid of toxins, all of those different things, allowing the nervous system to look after itself, to clean itself, and just kind of reset. So if we're not getting enough sleep, then the brain and the body doesn't have time to do all of these things. So over time, all of those toxins, all of these, the damaged cells, the damaged DNA, all of those things have time to accumulate. So sleep is super important.
Okay, what does a healthy relationship with social media look like?
Yeah, I know it's difficult, isn't it? We live in a world where, our phone is probably the thing that we hold on to most.
Definitely.
So I think it's about being able to use social media intentionally and not just out of habit. So what I mean by that is about using social media to for what we need it for. Say, for example, you want to research something, or you want to um, um, I don't know. So you want to look something up, or things like that. Use ChatGPT to tell you about something, or whatever. And it's not where we're just scrolling for no reason, um,
Relying on it.
relying on it. It's just become so habitual that you just sit there just scrolling through your phone, and you're not realizing that you're missing out on those key moments with your children, family members, things like that. Your children could be trying to talk to you, and you were just kind of scrolling away on your phone. Those are the things that where you, again, it's about noticing those things that are happening. That's when you got to start questioning. Well, am I using social media in a healthy way? Which obviously you're not.
Definitely. Okay, how can people protect their mental health while working high pressure jobs?
Yeah, I mean, again, comes back to awareness, and kind of becoming sort of aware of your situation, understanding how much pressure you're under, what you're doing in your job, and how much of your life it's taking from you. Thinking about things like, am I going home? Thinking about work. Am I taking work home? Am I able to switch off from work? So it's things like that, and then knowing, well, once we understand that, then we can start to do things like, where's the right place to set my boundaries, with my time, my availability, my being able to say no to people, being able to take the right amount of breaks in the day, and kind of things like that.
Brilliant. Okay, and what message do you have for somebody that feels completely overwhelmed? Where's he gone? Not sure what happened there.
No idea.
Okay, where did I get to? Okay, how can people protect their mental health while? Oh, I've asked you that. What message do you give to somebody that feels overwhelmed, completely overwhelmed?
I think the first thing is just to kind of acknowledge it and just say, having that bit of compassion and saying that, you know, we can all feel that way. So, you shouldn't feel guilty about it. You shouldn't feel ashamed or anything like that. It's something that can happen to us, and if you speak to most people, 99% of people have probably been there. So don't feel ashamed, don't feel guilty, don't feel like you can't talk about it, because it's just a feeling. Once we start to make that distinction that I'm not overwhelmed, I just feel overwhelmed. So when you take it
Yeah.
away from you and it becomes a feeling, then then you've got control over it, and then you can start doing something. I'm feeling overwhelmed. Then you can start saying, well, okay, well, why am I feeling overwhelmed? And then you can start making changes. But if I'm the one that's overwhelmed, it's a lot harder to deal with, because now it's me.
Sure.
It's only when you can kind of dissociate that you start to feel kind of more in control. And approach yourself with compassion. I often say to people when they're going through things, well, how would you talk to your friend or your family member
Your mother, yeah.
if they were going through the same thing? We'd speak to them a lot differently and a lot kinder than we would speak to ourselves. We often, we judge ourselves quite easily, don't we? We put extra pressure on ourselves. So it's just giving yourself that same compassion. And when you do that, you then create some space to to allow yourself to heal, because you're not judging yourself.
Excellent. Okay, what's the biggest misconception that Asians have about mental health?
I think it's that kind of having a mental health problem means that you're failing, that there's some kind of flaw.
Definitely.
Yeah. And I'm guessing a lot of people will resonate with that, and that's one of the reasons why we don't talk about it, don't we? Because we don't want to show vulnerability.
We just like to sweep it under the carpet.
Absolutely, yeah. Because like I said, we don't want to show that we're vulnerable. But the key thing actually is that there is strength in that vulnerability, because if we can acknowledge it and not approach it like it's a failure, then we can
work on it.
Absolutely, yeah, we can start to do something about
Definitely. And how can families support someone going through emotional struggles?
it. It's creating this openness and starting
awareness.
to talk. Sorry, say that again.
Awareness, sorry.
Yeah, it's creating
Amongst each other.
Yeah, awareness. Obviously noticing things about each other, openly having conversations. I think it starts with how we talk to the younger generation. You know what I mean? If it was the generation above us who obviously their time was different, and it was those typical stereotypes of you've got to be strong, you don't talk about mental health, you just get on. We know differently now, and it's about us talking to our younger generation in a more open way and saying it's okay to talk about mental health, it's okay to be vulnerable, it's okay to share, and we're here to support you.
100%. Okay, if you can give one piece of advice to a younger Dr. Ranj Sagoo, what would it be?
I think it's about being kinder to yourself, because I think looking back, I was always very kind of self-judgmental. Those same patterns of, oh, you're not good enough, or you shouldn't be in this room with these people. What have you got to say to, what importance have you got for you to be here? Always constantly wanting to try and prove myself. I always felt like, I was different. But yeah, just being kind of kind to yourself, having that compassion for yourself, and just realizing, you've achieved a lot, you've done a lot, you are worthy of being who you are and where you are.
Excellent. What's one thing you wish everyone understood about mental well-being?
That we have to treat mental well-being in the same way that we treat physical well-being. It's something that in the same way, with physical well-being, if you want to get physically fit, it doesn't happen overnight. You have to work at it. And often what happens with mental issues is that people get frustrated when things aren't going right, or they feel stressed or anxious or tense. They might try some breathing exercises and things, and then they don't think it's working. But you have to give it time. You have to make changes, and you have to make changes that become your routine in order for things to settle down. So it's about looking after your mental well-being and taking the time to work on your mental well-being.
Definitely. Okay, just a few quick questions.
Mm-hmm.
One habit that changed your life?
That morning meditation, or especially the part in the morning, definitely.
Morning or night routine?
For me, I'm a morning person.
Meditation or breath work, breathing work?
I think breath work works really quickly at helping to calm me down. So yeah, breath work's great.
Okay, best look for mental wellness?
Sorry, say that again.
Best look for mental wellness?
Best look. What do you mean in terms of best look?
So smiling?
Yeah. A smile goes a long way, actually. Yeah. So something, because again, it's about sort of, just a smile can help, increase kind of endorphin
Definitely.
levels, dopamine levels. So yeah, smiling is
Okay, your go-to affirmation?
I'm grateful for another day with my loved ones.
Brilliant. Tea or coffee?
I'm a coffee drinker, definitely.
Okay, one thing you wish people stop doing?
Ignoring their emotions.
Excellent. And last but not least, one thing you wish people start doing today?
It goes back to what we said right at the beginning, is just checking in with yourself daily. For me, I think that's massive, just taking a few minutes.
Fantastic, Doc.
Yourself.
Excellent. Okay, and before we go, did you get me a nomination?
Yes, I'd like to nominate a very good friend of mine. His name's Jati Cheed. I don't know if you know of him. So he's a Punjabi singer. He sings Punjabi and Hindi. He's worked with quite a few big Punjabi producers. He does wedding singing, but he's also a life coach now. He's kind of gone through his own transformational journey. So he's a really, really insightful person. I think he'd be a great person to speak to.
Excellent. Dr. Ranj, I'd like to thank you and salute you. Thank you very much. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you so much for having me on.